you to say why you wanted to rear me as a black person and not a biracial person.
The world sees my family as black. The world sees all interracial people as black. In order for you to survive with credibility and expertise, you need to understand that the world sees you as black, so you must get used to that definition because it's going to be carried with you wherever you go. When people see other people, the first thing they see is color.
If you have been classified as non-white, anybody who has color in his or her skin is born in a prison system called the system of white supremacy.
You got to have your own philosophy. You can't use somebody else's philosophy to win your freedom. You want your freedom, then you strike out because Africa is the homeland. Africa is freedom. This is how you have your freedom.
Hello, how are you doing today? This is Benita Auset, and you're listening to Sippin' Tea with B. Moses and I are here again together. Today, we're going to talk about the United Independent Compensatory Code, a system of concept, a compensatory counter-racist code. And we're going to talk about that today. Some people might say, why on earth would you want to talk about this with your 11-year-old son? Well, because
What is that, Mommy?
What is compensatory? What are you asking me?
I mean, what is the compensatory code?
This is the compensatory code right here. It is a book written by Neely Fuller Jr. And it's a textbook / workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, which is white supremacy. And so what we're going to do today, y'all, is we're going to basically read the book with each other. We're going to have this code or this particular book, we're going to talk about this once a month. And I am going to read it with my son. And we are going to make comments on this book. The reason that Neely Fuller created the book in the first place is to help respond to racism. He feels as if racism is... the white supremacists have a code, and so people who are non-white also need to have a code in response to racism. So this is it. This is the code. We have some people checking in on Facebook. Thank you very much for checking in on Facebook. Who's checked in with us, Moses, on Facebook?
Nicole, Lisa. Hey.
Nicole. Can she hear you?
Lyle Gray. Hey. What?
So we got Nicole. We got Lyle. Who else?
We have...
You have to say it in the mic, Moses. That's what we're trying to get you to do.
Tanu?
Tanu. Hey, Tanu. How you doing?
Rain D. Williams.
Brian
D. Williams. Justice J. Wayne. Victor.
Okay, well, thank you all people for checking in on Facebook. We really appreciate that. Like I said, we're going to talk about the code. So going through the code, Moses, maybe you can look over the book with me right here. I can get you, I have to get another copy for you. In the beginning, he has introductory remarks, a table of contents. In the table of contents, we have
Rhonda.
Okay, so thank you, Rhonda, for tuning in. We also have, please, you all, if you have any questions, feel free to call in. In the table of contents, it's got, the first chapter, the first section is information and guide for compensatory thought, speech, and or action. So we're just going to start there. Then they have things about the author. I think I'll read some of that because that may be interesting to anybody listening, because they might say, well, why is he, why is it okay for Neely Fuller to talk about racism? If I'm listening to Neely Fuller enough and reading the book, I'm sure that what he would say is because I am a victim, and that anyone who is a victim has the right to share their feelings. But Neely Fuller Jr., the writer, author of this book, has been, like millions of others, a longtime victim of and servant to racism, white supremacy in all areas of activity. My experiences, observations, and studies have led me to believe the following. Okay, thank you. And to believe the following. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points, and in the points are: racism has done more to promote non-justice than any other socio-material system. Second point is: no major problem that exists between the people of the known universe can be eliminated. Point 3: the fear, frustration, malice, and confusion that is caused by racism. Point 4: the only form of functional racism that exists among the people. Point 5: the people who have the ability to eliminate racism do not have the will to do so, and the people who have the will to do so do not have the ability. And point 6: regardless of all that has been said or done, the quality of the relationship between white people and non-white people is and has been a total disaster. Point 7: justice is better than racism. And that's what we're going to be doing a lot on this particular show. Sippin would be, we have the 4 main points, and this is just one of the points. So every month, this is going to be one of the things that we do, is discussing an anti-racist code. If you all have any ideas for an anti-racist code, or if you just completely 100% want to accept Neely Fuller's code, either way you feel, please call in or text in the live in Facebook your responses or your opinions. And the last 2 points are: as long as racism exists, anything said or done by people that is not intended to help eliminate racism and to help produce justice is a waste of time and energy. So for instance, I say to my son a lot of times when he's sitting on YouTube, I was like, oh, so you're just going to be listening to white people teach you more about racism, or teach you more ways to continue to harm yourself or harm your people, instead of actually doing something. I feel like a lot of things like that are a waste of time. So I get on him a lot for that. You remember me getting on you for that? Yes. And the other thing I get on him a lot for is I end up putting him on screen punishment. What I call is anything with the screen, he cannot use it, because I feel like he needs to be deprogrammed. Oftentimes he'll be on there and there'll be some kind of, like, it's as if he turns into a zombie of some kind, because he's been listening to it. So then I'll have to deprogram him. He end up a couple weeks later, he gets back to a regular son. Mom, may I help you with anything? Mom, is there anything that you need? Super nice guy. But prior to that, no. Be careful about what you let your children listen to or what you let them do. And I'll repeat that, as long as racism exists, anything said or done by people that is not intended to help eliminate racism and to help produce justice is a waste of time and energy. And then the last point is: each and every time victim of racism should minimize the time and effort spent doing anything other than thinking, speaking, and acting in a manner that helps to eliminate racism, white supremacy, and helps to establish justice. So the whole entire purpose of the book basically is to the system of racism with the system of justice. How do you feel about that, Moses?
Fine.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like Neely Fuller is qualified to write this book?
Yes.
Why is that?
Yes.
Why would you say he's qualified to write the book?
Because he's qualified.
What makes him qualified to write the book? What makes him qualified to write a book about racism? You don't know?
No.
Okay. Well, basically what he's saying is he is qualified to write the book because he is a victim of racism. Okay? One of the first lines in this book, when you open a book to the very beginning, this is what he says. If you read this one, Moses, but you have to read it into the microphone, otherwise people can't hear you.
If you do not understand what's white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
He's listened to the Neely Fuller does a radio show / podcast type thing on a very often basis, and I listen to them repeatedly over and over and over a different episode. And so that's where he got that sound from, because in his when Neely Fuller does his radio show, he'll say that they kind of echo that last part where it says, will only confuse you. And so that's what Moses is doing right now.
Intro?
That is part of his intro. He says, if you do not understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will
Only
only.
confuse you. Only confuse you.
That's right.
Only confuse you.
All right. Well, let's see what he has is a lot of different statements, and then it goes into the purpose of this book. What would you like to?
Like a crawling infant attempting to walk all errors that are made by any person who is seriously attempts to produce justice are errors that can only be related
Revealed.
revealed through the process of the
Hmm.
attempt.
What is he saying there? Like a crawling infant attempting to walk, all errors that are made by any person who seriously attempts to produce justice are errors that can only be revealed through the process of the attempt. The will to produce justice is the first thing that must happen before justice can be produced. The will to produce justice is itself the beginning of the end of error. Therefore, the initial purpose of this work is to help people to protect the will to do justice. Protect your will. What's will?
Uh,
Okay,
our
there's your will. Oh, you're making a fist
our
because do you feel like willing to the will to do something is fighting to do something?
I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of know what it is.
Yeah, it's not quite fighting though, right?
I know it's not quite fighting, but I know it's like defending.
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 Okay. Also, you know what I'm thinking about too is with the word will. A lot of times when I want to help somebody, like say I want to ask somebody to do something for me, I might say, "Will you do it?" Because I know the person is capable. I know they can do it. Right? Like if
Or
I say, "Moses, go pick that umbrella up and bring it to me." Right? But I could say, "Moses, can you pick that umbrella up and bring it to me?" And you might say, "Yeah, mom, I can do it." But that doesn't mean that you're actually going to do it. That's not you me getting you to do it. That's just me asking whether or not you're capable of doing it. So I think when he says will produce, the will to produce, the will,
that you do it, or
will you do it? Like,
yeah,
will you use
do
your
it?
energy to do it? Or are you going to use your energy to just,
Chill too hard.
chill too
Too hard.
hard,
Chill
chilling
too
too hard,
hard.
chilling too hard? Right. Which one are you going to do? Are you going to use your will to help produce racism? Or are you going to use your will to chill too hard? Okay, so now we are the information and guide for compensatory thought, speech, and or action. We're in the first section. Racism is a basic perspective. One time I heard him saying that, sometimes people feel like racism is something like when you're watching a Klan rally. And no, that's not it. It is very, very deep, so much deeper than that. Like I usually phrase it this way. If you trip on a crack in the sidewalk, that is the fault of white supremacist racism. Because say a black man had an idea one day to create a sidewalk that has no cracks in it, the same way we have a street with no cracks in it, the same way we have, like, when they create those interstates, those concrete interstates, and they go for miles and miles and miles, no cracks, and cause your car to drive over them real nice and smooth. Well, guess what, Moses? They could do the same thing with the sidewalk, but somebody made a decision that every, few, what would you call it? Maybe a couple feet or something like that, maybe 3 or 5 feet, then boom, there was going to be another crack, another crack. But I have not done the research on creating sidewalks, but what I would bet is that if a person of color, a black person, or any other person that's a non-white person had decided of a different way, would not have been that their idea wouldn't have gone through. Reason why and the reason they won't accept that idea is because of racism, and that's the reason why I am quick to blame racism for a lot of things. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, hey, we can't just blame racism for everything, and we need to finally get to a point where we pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and stop blaming the white man for this and that. Well, I think that the point that Neely Fuller is making, and the reason that I wanted to discuss this book with the people, is because we have a we need to understand it. We need to be equipped. We need to be able to say, okay, when we go home and we're upset about things that happen, that we don't, take that out on our children or take that out on our significant other. We need to be able to say, hey, that is the fault of racism. And I need to lean back and I need to check myself and I need to know that the world is trying to harm me.
Break.
Oh, we hear there's the music, and when the music is playing, then that is time for a break. And not the kind of break where we're going to leave the table. This is just simply a break where Moses is going to discuss what's been going on the radio show or what we're doing.
Thanks for listening to Sippin with me on Intellectual. Thanks for listening to Sippin with me on IntellectualRadio.com. This show is a constructive response to white supremacy, which is racism. We want to see everyone free. We are on air every Sunday at 12 noon time. Delicious. Today's show is sponsored by Benita's Homemade Things, where you can get scrumptious cakes, delicious cookies, and colorful hats and scarves. To share with us, call in at 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. Now back to our show.
You did that so fast. You think the people understood what you were saying? Yeah, you did a good job. Thank you very much, Moses. Moses is going to be our timekeeper. Set the time, Moses. That means that we are already 15 minutes into our show. And back to our book. Now, sometimes referred to as the race problem, is the basic initial unfinished business among the people of the known universe. Therefore, it is not possible to effectively speak and or act to eliminate any major problem that involves people without first eliminating the problem of racism, white supremacy, in every area of activity, including, now these are all the activities that he feels like every activity that there's racism. So those activities are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. In order to do this, it is necessary for victims of racism, that means all non-white people in effective numbers, to know and understand who the racist white supremacists are, how they function, and for what ultimate purpose. Moses, do you know who is and who isn't a racist?
Grandpa.
What about Grandpa?
He isn't racist.
Okay, he said that his grandfather, who happens to be a white man, is not racist.
Dad, mom, grandma, mom, like half of all our family.
Right. So the thing is,
name.
we don't really know, like we can, based on experiences and observations, we know who isn't, right? But we never really know exactly whether or not the person is, so we have to suspect
Suspected racist.
Yeah, we can't go around blaming people and saying, hey, you're a racist. But we can be suspicious and kind of look at them like, maybe that person is, or maybe they aren't, and give them a chance to prove to us that they aren't. And that's what this is how he's explaining here. The victims of racism must also know and understand how the power of the racist can be nullified and or eliminated by victims of racism, speaking and or acting as individual persons, all by choice,
Wayne
according
joined.
to it. Okay, thank you, Wayne, for joining. All right, now if anybody is interested in getting this book, again, it is you can go to producejustice.com. He has it there. I also heard him say that it's on Amazon. I purchased it on Amazon, but his website is producejustice.com. Okay, so the first area of activity, economics. So when it comes to what's economics, Moses? You know what that is?
The study of history?
Well, I wouldn't think so.
I know it's the study of something.
Study of economics? Usually ology means a study of something. So like, for instance, sociology or psychology or some kind of ology. But this is economics is about money.
Money.
Yeah, another person I've been listening to, Boyce Watkins, he has this whole thing for children that talks about money. I think I'm going to have you do that. Millionairesofthefuture.com or something like that. What's that? What are you doing?
The money ring.
Oh, okay. So he's doing a
Raining money.
He's raining pretend money right now. Okay. Economics means the correct distribution of and or balance between all animals. Oh, animals. Read that, Moses, right there. That's economics. But read it into the microphone so the people can hear you.
Right here.
Hmm.
Economics means the correct distribution of and or balance between all animals, persons, places, plants, things. Economics in the correct sense is the sum total of all of the thought, speech, and or actions used to produce maximum efficiency and revealing truth in a manner that promotes the establishment of justice and correctness in all areas of activating.
Okay, hold on. Wait a second, because there's a couple things you said that I want to talk about there. Like you said, balance. So his definition of economics is that there's a balance. Like there's the things are supposed to be balanced. Things are supposed to be fair. And the way life is right now, things are not always fair like that. Is everything the same between all animals, people, places, plants, things, etc.?
No.
But does that make sense to you? Like, do you agree with that? Is everything supposed to be balanced?
I don't agree with everything supposed to be balanced because there's those people that be like, they'll say something and the other person would be like, no, that's not true. And I can't explain it in a way.
Economics also means using all things, thought, speech, and or action with maximum efficiency with the objective of eliminating racism. Now, I definitely agree with that part of his definition. But the definition, the part where he says economics means the correct distribution. Okay, well, correct distribution. For instance, not necessarily what's equal, but what is just. So a person may need more than an animal, or an animal, depending on which animal, some animals may need more than other animals. Now that makes sense to me. Do you understand you still don't understand what he's saying? No. Okay. So what he's saying is, okay, so let's say, for instance, in the jungle, exact same thing that the monkeys get, or the monkeys get the same thing that the birds get?
No.
Okay. And so, if we consider the economics is not only about money, it's about there's other forms of coin. Like, for instance, there's bartering, or there's rain, or there's water, there's wind, there's air, there's fire, there's leaves, there's food, there's other forms of the economy. Is not only something that is money, like making it rain. Like when we talked about money earlier, then you were speaking about making it rain because you're thinking specifically of dollar bills, right? Like probably US dollar bills. But I think in this context right here, when he's talking about the economics, he is not only speaking of money as if it is. So for instance, from a racist standpoint, if the jungle, say you're living in the jungle, I heard Neely Fuller use this as an example one time, or an analogy. If you're in the jungle and everything is all good, and then all of a sudden, way down there, some white supremacists create a dam for no reason, but just to stop the flow of water going into the village. And people were all living fine, everything was okay, but then all of a sudden, they're not receiving water anymore. Well, that could cause some problems, right? Can you think about problems that you might have if you were living in the wilderness and you no longer received water the way you used to?
Oh, that would create tons of problems.
Tons of problems.
I'll have to break the dam.
So you would and so eventually he said that the people will walk up north to where the water used to flow from, or direction that the water used to flow from, and realize that now there's a dam there. So that could be a problem. So if your economy is set up the way the universal earth sets up economy, there's supposed to be justice and a balance there, and racism takes that balance away. Okay, we're going to move to the next area of activity. There's a lot of other things that he said there, but I think that we talked about that enough for right now. He does say what I mentioned about time and energy is also considered any, like your time is worth more than money, or the energy that you put into something is worth a lot of time. It's worth a lot of that's worth more than money to your time and your energy, because that's also part of the economy, your economics. Okay, moving on to education. Last week when we were here, Moses had talked about the school that he attends and how that school is. Oh, look at Marcus Klein, I think, joined in, and he's the director of Moses' school. And Moses was happy that he was able to attend a school that taught him that it's okay to be a black person, that he can be proud of being black, and that he can learn about black history there. So Neely Fuller, when he's talking about education, Moses, would you like to read this line right here about education, or some of that paragraph until I cut you off?
Education means the process of learning. Education means process of learning all things about all things, and or the process of learning all things about one thing. If all is known about one thing, then all is known about all things, because all things are
Interrelated.
Any learning situation is a school, and any school is a learning situation that
Regardless of
time or place, a person who is learning at that time in school.
So he is saying his definition for education is not only about say the public school system. It's much bigger than that. It's anytime somebody is learning, then it could be considered a school. So like, for instance, Moses goes to a non-traditional school, an independent school, and that is still considered a school because it is a group of people learning, the learning situation regardless of time or place. The other thing here that I found very interesting, Moses, about this part is education means the process of learning all things about all things. Means we will never, ever, ever completely, totally be educated. It is a continuous process. Education is never completed. We have a lot of sisters and brothers running around here talking about, I'm an educated Negro, I'm an educated this, and I'm done with all of that. I've got mines, and you need to get yours. Well, according to Neely Fuller, education is not a past tense word, but a present word at all times. And the reason he says that is because education means the process of learning all things about all things. No one on earth knows everything. Constantly learning. And if you ever listen to one of his radio shows, that's one of the things that he says when somebody says to him, how are you doing? Moses, have you ever heard him say, what is his response? You can't remember what he says, huh?
No.
He says, I'm still learning, because he feels like he's got a lot to learn, even though he's in his 80s now. Neely Fuller, that's what he says. Neely Fuller, he says, I'm still learning. And you say, hi, how you doing? He says, I'm still learning. It's really neat. Okay, so that's that's what he has to say about education. And then and there's lots of we have 9 different areas. Oh no, we're gonna move past the education area into the entertainment area. Okay, Moses, read what he says about entertainment.
Entertainment means in any activity that is desired or enjoyed, including that which is just or unjust, and that which is correct or incorrect. Entertainment can be either constructive or non-constructive.
Hmm. Like, for instance, today, some people may be entertained by a radio show, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like this radio show is a constructive radio show? Do you
Yes.
know the difference between constructive and non-constructive? We talked about constructive and the definition of constructive.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so what's our what when we just looked it up in the regular dictionary, what's the different dictionary's definition of constructive? Can you remember that?
Um, constructive, harmful.
It's harmful would be
Harmful in a way, not saying actually harmful.
well, harmful, yeah, not saying harmful because it's the opposite of harmful. If it's non-constructive, it would be harmful. Constructive was to help. And so one of the things that we're trying to do with this radio show is to help people. And so that's what you said right here in your thing. Remember, you say it up there. What is this show?
This shows constructive response to white supremacy, which is racism. We want to see everyone free.
We want to see everyone free. And the only way to be free is for us to do things in a constructive manner. And so sometimes when you watch YouTube, I feel like your YouTube shows are non-constructive. Oh, that's the sounds of the beat.
We were just talking about.
Okay, so all right, go ahead, Moses.
Hey, thanks for listening to Sippin' Tea with. Thanks for listening to Sippin' Tea with B on IntellectualRadio.com. This show is a constructive response to white supremacy, which is racism. We want to see everyone free. We are on air every Sunday at 12 noon time. The show is sponsored by Benita's Homemade Things, where you can get scrumptious cakes, delicious cookies, and colorful hats and scarves. To share it with us, call in at 708-223-8953. I'm going to say it again. 708-223-8953.
All right.
Now back to our show.
Back to our show. Thank you, Moses, for keeping us on point. The time master, because time is a very important. Yes, I did. If that's okay with you. Yeah, I did. Okay, so entertainment has to be constructive. Sometimes, Moses, when you're listening to YouTube, that to me, from my perspective, is non-constructive. Can you please explain to me how the shows that you watch on YouTube are constructive and helpful towards replacing the system of racism with the system of justice?
Wait, can you say that again?
Give me a constructive reason. A constructive reason why listening to the YouTube shows that you watch is constructive for replacing the system of racism with the system of justice.
It's not constructive. I just see it for fun.
So entertainment purposes only.
Yes.
Does it cause you to be less constructive in your walk to help people be free?
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
But I watch.
Okay. So are there times when you're watching things that would counter our objective of becoming free? Like it would harm our objective to get free? Stop us from being free?
Sometimes.
But you still want to watch it. Why?
To watch it.
Yeah, but even when I tell you not to watch it, you still have a desire.
I'm okay, not all the time.
I don't think you're answering my question. Do you feel like I put you on the spot? You want a week to think about that?
Sure.
Okay, well, you can come back and explain to the people. We come back to the area of activity on entertainment and why watching YouTube at times can be constructive and why it can be non-constructive. I'm gonna have you do a report on that.
Wait, what?
Constructive means helping. Non-constructive means harming. Watching YouTube can be helpful. Watching YouTube can be harmful. And I want you to tell me why. Maybe somebody
Oh,
can help you out with that.
it can be harmful and depends on what I'm watching. It
Okay.
can be constructive, depends on what I'm watching.
Okay. Well, give me some
Like,
examples.
like, if I'm watching a video where it's like neatly for constructive on YouTube,
Yeah, I would agree with
or
that.
if I'm watching a video like Jacksepticeye guy,
What's his name?
Jacksepticeye guy,
Jacksepticeye.
yes,
I don't even know who that is.
that's the YouTuber.
But what? So is he? What about that one YouTuber you were watching that one day, and he had pointed out that one of the video games that he was playing was that BioShock,
Yes.
and he was talking about how the game was racist, and he was a white man, and he was explaining the games. I actually would feel like that was a more constructive one. What's his name? Can you remember that guy's name?
I can look it up.
Oh, okay. So Moses is going to try and do some research on that, y'all. I'm going to go to the next area of activity, which is labor. Labor means any act of using time and energy to accomplish an objective. Constructive labor can and should be entertaining. That's interesting. Area number 5, law means anything that is done. I think I would probably have some questions about that myself, and I don't have the person who wrote the book. Maybe one day I'll call in. But anything that is done, like if you did it, it's law, it's legal. Number 6, area 6. Politics means if anybody, before I move on to area 6, if anybody has read Neely Fuller's book or can give me some perspective on what that means, law means, air quotes, anything that is done. You know, place a comment in there or inbox me or call in and help us understand that. 6, politics means people, relations, and or any interaction between people at any time in
Okay.
any place in any area of activity. Hold on, Moses, I think, has found an answer to my question. What's his name?
I don't know his like actual name, but I know his YouTube name.
Okay, what's his YouTube name?
Video Gamer TV.
EV is the guy who had, what they have a lot of these people on YouTube where they play video games, and while they're listening to the video games, they basically are just explaining to the watcher, I played this game this way, and then I played it that way, and then I played it that way, and then this happened and that happened. And so Moses finds that to be very helpful and interesting, because then it helps him to better understand when he's playing the game himself. It's almost like he's doing the research in advance.
And then there's like other people that are on YouTube where they like, the game BioShock that's like underwater.
Okay, talk to the people.
There's a person that tried to see if that's actually be able to happen, like a whole civilization can be underwater.
Okay.
And he theorized it, and he made it able to happen.
Oh, so they put a underwater town. And so when I was watching it with you, this video gamer TV guy, he was playing that game with the underwater, and he was giving commentary or feedback or criticism on the game, things that he liked, and his critique, things that he didn't like. And one of the things that he mentioned is that the game is racist.
Yes.
Okay, we're moving on. Area 7, religion. Area 8, 9. Area 9 is war. What they say about religion. Religion means the sum total of everything that a person thinks and everything that he or she says, plus everything that he or she does. So, I think maybe we would have to come back to that one next week. Area 8, sex means any socio-material interaction between male and female. And Area 9 is war, means any willful or deliberate, unjust or non-correct speech and or action that are directly or indirectly used effectively against any creature or person. And then there's counter war, which means speech and or action used to stop a person, animal, etc. from doing unjust and or non-correct harm, and the sum total of all the words and all deeds that helps to eliminate racism and helps to replace racism, white supremacy with justice, a balance between people. Of course, that would be counter war. So racism is war. All right, y'all. We have gone over a lot of things. I'm getting the feeling that Moses, where we at with the counter time, clock time master? We
Six
have
minutes
5
and
minutes left.
55, 54.
Moses, was a lot of these were a lot of these words confusing?
Yes.
Okay, well, kind of ask me some questions. What is the most confusing part? We have a few minutes here before we need to conclude. Like this one right here, where he's talking about
Right here, education.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's like means the process of learning things about all things and or things, and it kept saying things about things. I'm like, what? I was confused.
Okay, well, he was saying there that all things, you have to learn all things about all things, right? So let's pretend like you're a thing. Okay.
Yes.
Well, no, you're not a thing. Let's talk about this cup right here, my sip of tea. So on this tea, right, or on this cup, do you know everything about this cup?
No.
So to go to school, say you went to school to learn how to make this cup. So then you would spend a lot of time learning how to make this cup. So now you know all things about making the cup, right? But hold on, wait a second. Do you know all things about drinking liquid out of the cup? All things about it? Well, you may be able to understand that, you flipped a little button, you take a sip.
Sippin' tea was very.
Sip, right? And then you also may understand that. So then that's learning things about the cup. So for instance, right now, I don't even think the cup is turned on, right?
Oh.
So you would have to learn how to even use the cup. So how to make the cup, that might be one person who made the cup. Like I have no idea how to make this cup. None whatsoever. So I have not learned all things about this cup even. This cup is just one item on earth. We still would have to learn all things about all things. It would take a long time to do that, right? And I think that the point that he was trying to make is that we should always be trying to learn.
Okay.
Or always be in a learning mindset, Like I need to learn about this. There's so much out there to learn. And if I'm sitting around playing, am I wasting time? All right.
Yes.
So let's Moses, help close us out. Thank the people again for coming.
Star final.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening to Sip. Oh.
You gonna get it together, son.
Thanks for listening to Sippin' Tea with B on IntellectualRadio.com. This show is constructive response to white supremacy, which is racism. We want to see everyone free. We are on air every Sunday at 12 noon time. Today's show is sponsored by Benita's Homemade Things, where you can get scrumptious cakes, delicious cookies, and colorful hats and scarves. To share with us, call in at 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. Now back to our show.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate your time and attention. I know that there's a lot for us to learn. Moses is saying goodbye to the people on Facebook, to the people over there on YouTube. We're saying goodbye again. We're having a book discussion. This is going to be a series, you all. Once a month, we want to talk with you about this. We're going to have a lot more questions when it goes on. If you have different questions, you want to get the book and have questions as well, you can submit questions to us that we could read to you all. We can submit answers to what you feel is from your perspective that we can also put on the show, because of course we are not experts. We're just working together trying to find a solution. Okay, thanks for your time. This is Benita. I want you to say why you wanted to rear me as a black person and not a biracial person.
The world sees my family as black. The world sees all interracial people as black. In order for you to survive with credibility and expertise, you need to understand that the world sees you as black, so you must get used to that definition, because it's going to be carried with you wherever you go. When people see other people, the first thing they see is color.
If you have been classified as non-white, anybody who has color in his or her skin is born in a prison system called the system of white